Hey, so in the beginning of this episode, my wife came in with a mop and she could not open it. So she asked me for help and chaos ensued. So that's our opening. All right, well, enjoy. And hang on, sorry. What happened? Heather needs help expanding her rod.
So why'd she call you?
Yeah.
Impulses, and why'd she come to you?
There's instructions here, but I don't understand. It's not working for me.
Twist. I can feel it twisting.
Well,
Talk dirty to it.
It's moving a little bit.
Maybe it needs a little lube.
Yeah, I'll do this right in front of you guys.
Oh, my eyes.
No, you're right. It's not quite doing what it's supposed to do.
I've heard that before.
That's what she said. That is what she said, and then she said it.
What is that thing?
Yeah, it's cool mop, except it don't fucking work. I don't know. Sorry. I don't know. I'm following the directions too. So 3 instructions: grab it, twist it, and pull. Same instructions we've been doing for 18 years. I don't see any kind of lock on it.
Okay.
Sorry.
All this has to stay in.
You're welcome.
All that has to stay in. Please don't edit.
That's going to
that
be the intro. That's going to be the
out. Don't
intro.
edit- Please don't edit that out.
That's got to be the intro. Of course, we lose something with it not being a video.
That's fine.
All right. We'll start over. Hey, we're back. This is John,
It's Paul.
And it's Eric.
and it's What If Geeks, and now we are back once again with a review of What If episodes 4 through 6. And I'll just start off by saying I am loving more and more of this show. It's getting so good. Even like what you would consider like a quiet episode, they're still good. But there's nothing quiet about any of the 3 episodes we're about to talk about tonight. So we got all right, quick before we do any kind of review, quick input feed on what you guys are thinking of the series so far, or at least these episodes here that we've watched. Don't all start at once.
Yeah.
I think they've all been really good. In the back of my mind, am wondering if they're alluding to something they're going to do with like every other story being about a good guy gone bad. But yeah, no, I think they're really good. Like I said last time, I love that they got, and this is no exception, these 3 episodes, but they got almost all the original actors back to voice their own characters. There's sort of nothing lost in continuity, even though it is a completely different story than what happened in MCU.
Yeah, they definitely follow the comic where the one little thing goes different and you get a whole different reality. But like to your point, I know we've talked about it the last time we discussed 1 through 3. I think I heard that they're maybe building toward a multiverse Avengers, but I don't, whether or not that's true, I don't know, because they also said that each one of these episodes is going to be about one Marvel movie that's already out. But then I also heard there was going to be 23 episodes and there's only like 9 or some shit. And then they're going to come back for another 9. So I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but I'm enjoying it. Paul?
Yeah, no, I think these are amazing stories. I think these 3 are I don't know, maybe the darkest of them so far. Like
Number 4 is the darkest for sure.
Yeah. And the Doctor Strange one too. Yeah, like that. Yeah, that is 4.
Yeah, that's 4. Mhm.
Yeah, that's super dark. And then the zombie one is kind of it's a good mix. It's a little bit funny. It caught the Marvel kind of sense of humor. But yeah, great storytelling. I love that most of the actors are back. And I just love this idea that we can just take these characters that we know, just mix up the stories a little bit and see what we get. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so let's get into episode 4. What if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands? And like you guys said, this one's really dark. So basically, I guess we do a quick recap of the Doctor Strange movie. If you haven't seen it, I don't know why you're listening to this now. Go back and watch it and come back. Stephen Strange is a doctor. He gets in a car accident, breaks his hands incredibly bad, looks for a way to heal himself, finds out that there's mystic arts out. Where's the place he goes to? It's right there. I can't think of it. He goes in search of
I just wanted you to know it's expanded fully now.
hey. You usually have to tell me that.
You weren't listed in the right area.
It happens. Thanks. So anyway,
It's Kamar-Taj.
Kamar-Taj. Yeah, thank you. So Strange goes out there looking for answers any way he can. Wants to learn from the Ancient One, these mystic arts. They finally take him in, and he winds up becoming the Sorcerer Supreme, realizing there's more at stake than just his ability to perform surgery, right? So in this episode, the key difference is in that car crash, he's not alone. Christine Palmer, his girlfriend at the time, is in the car with him, and they crash and she dies. So that is the whole, what if Doctor Strange loses his heart? So he goes same, but then it follows kind of the same thing initially, where he seeks out any means necessary to try to find a way to bring her back or save her life. And he goes to...
So he ends up there and studies the arts again, right?
Yeah, he studies the arts again and finds the Eye of Agamotto with the time stone in it, and tries to do anything he can to bring her back, right? And when he tries to use the time stone, Wong tells him, don't do it, don't do it. And he finally decides he's going to do it. And after he does, he realizes it's just not enough power. He needs more power. So he starts by summoning, I guess, ancient evil being, right?
First, what he figures out is no matter how many times he goes back and redoes the events again, he can't save her. No matter, so
H.G. Wells' Time Machine story.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
He
can't save her.
Right. And so the first time in the actual accident, he goes around this truck, and so this time he decides not to go around the truck, and then he still gets in a car accident, and then he goes a different route altogether, still gets in a car accident. You see him do this sort of over and over again.
It's like a montage of her dying.
Yeah.
And that's what I said in the notes.
Sometimes they stay in and have takeout. She still dies. He goes to right. He takes her to a restaurant. She gets shot. He stands her up, and her building blows. Like no matter what happens, she dies. And so the Ancient One finally tells him it's an absolute point in time, and it's an event that cannot change. It has to happen. It's the thing that drives him to become Doctor Strange, right? The Sorcerer Supreme. And no matter what happens, he can't change it.
Yeah. I mean, the implication is basically if that event doesn't happen and he doesn't become Doctor Strange, the whole reality they live in is gone.
Right.
Yeah. And me personally, I said it in our notes, I got a thing for Rachel McAdams. So even watching an animated version of her die over and over again hurt a little bit. So, but yeah, so then he gets darker with his mission, where he starts trying to absorb power from these ancient.
He goes to this ancient library and figures out and starts pulling these books together and doing research and figures out that it can happen in theory, but he needs more power. So he starts summoning these ancient monsters, starting with the tentacle thing. And I'm not sure if it's the same tentacle thing from episode 1.
It looked exactly the same.
That's what I thought. It looked exactly like it. I was like, oh, well, there's the first connection to maybe a multiverse Avengers type of thing. But yeah, I did appreciate the fact that he was like, he almost got his ass kicked by it.
Yeah.
So, or he did get his ass kicked by it. So he shut it down. He was like, I got to start smaller. And he started with like
a gnome.
Little like a gnome. Yeah.
Like a garden gnome. Yeah.
It was great.
And then he kind of eats them, right? Like he just takes in their energy, like through his eyes and through his mouth.
He takes in their essence, and he kind of starts to become them a little bit when you watch it.
Yeah.
See, like his body starts to morph into whatever he's absorbing, and then he becomes himself again. But then they keep showing him doing this repeatedly through that, and you see him getting darker and darker. His clothes take on a dark muted color. He's got bags under his eyes, so you can see it's taking a toll on him.
And then at some point, he wakes up back where this all started, sort of 2 years after her death, and he realizes
where he decided to use the time stone.
Correct. This time he puts it down, goes outside, and then he encounters the ancient one in sort of a, I don't know, like a force ghost almost.
Yeah.
To mix my universes. But she tells him that I've split you into two people because you're the only one powerful enough to stop you from doing this. And if the sort of evil Doctor Strange can bring her back and change the absolute point, then the entire universe is going to blow up. Like, you're going to rip the thing in half. So they have the two sides of Strange come together. Wong puts a protection spell over him, but the bad Strange manages to get rid of it, absorbs him in the fight, does the thing, brings her back, and then you see the world start to kind of, I don't know, it's like
it's disintegrating, almost like it's kind of like it's a darker magic version of what Thanos did.
Right.
It takes longer, but like you can see it starting to eat away people and things and everything. It's slowly starting to disintegrate. It's kind of like a combination of what the Thanos snap and like the what do you call it? The Down Under in Stranger Things. Like there's all these shit floating around and it's slowly eating away. It was cool looking. It was a really cool effect.
Yeah. So he manages to get her back, but you see the world start to, like, the entire universe just starts closing in. The Watcher even starts to come in and thinks about stepping in, and he's trying to hold it back, but he ends up, it's just the two of them, but she realizes what he's done, and then she sort of fades away, and he's left literally in this sort of crystal bubble thing, with the universe gone.
Yeah, and that's how the episode ends.
That's how it ends. Yeah,
it's completely fucked up.
Like everybody's dead everywhere.
Not much more to say.
And he's just like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do the,
He's apologizing to nobody now. But so that one was like, wow, like they're willing to go there, which was cool, So I really enjoyed that episode. It was a lot of fun. In a dark way, but I'm kind of.
It is dark. It's like DC supervillain origin story or something. Like some tragic event, and then it turns like completely to shit, and before you know it, they're ending the world or trying to.
Yeah. So then. I can't believe I'm saying this, but we move on to a more upbeat story. Episode 5, What If Zombies?
Right.
All right, so we'll give
this one is much more upbeat. It's done in a way where there's a lot of comedy inserted, little things, but all through it.
I mean, Spider-Man is one of the main characters, so you get a lot of comedy in there with him. But it manages to keep that, like any zombie movie, any good zombie movie you watch has that like desolation and despair kind of feel to it. It's got that, So to kind of, I guess, jump off the comics like we did in the last one, quite a few years ago, and I don't have it in front of me, but Marvel did a Marvel Zombies line of comics, and it became so popular that they did multiple sequels to it, right? So it would be like a 6-issue arc or whatever, but it was essentially some type of zombie virus got let loose in the initial one, in the Marvel universe, and the Avengers or somebody somewhere, they get bit and they start infecting all the other heroes. Now, in the comics, they maintain their powers and their intellect so that they can talk to each other, not like a typical zombie movie like Walking Dead or whatever, right? Or Day of the Dead or whatever. But they talk to each other and they formulate plans, and basically regular humans are just food, and they clean them out pretty quick. So and it goes on and on from there. But every time they feed, they kind of like their hunger subsides a little bit and allows them to kind of think clearly and plan their next attack or whatever they're going to do. But in the comics, there is no cure for this virus at all. They're just zombies. So in this one, it's kind of the same thing. Is it Hawkeye we see first? I can't remember now.
No.
So,
it starts with Hulk in the.
It starts because it's Infinity War. Hulk lands in Strange's sanctum, but when he's in the stairs, he's like, Thanos is coming, and there's no Strange or Wong there. He's just by himself. So he walks out front, and he's trying to figure out what the hell is going on, and a portal opens up. And you see the silhouettes of some of the Avengers, and he's like, "Oh, Tony, thank God!" And then you realize that they're all zombies, and that's
it's Thanos' two guys.
You're right. It's Ebony Maw and
and he does the whole thing like, it's glorious that you're going to die at the hands of Thanos the Great. Rejoice that your suffering's about to end. And then you see the Avengers, and they just start eating them.
Yeah, because Banner even does the whole like, "Come on, big guy, I need your help." And he's like, "No." Yeah. They do that whole scene, and then the Avengers show up. You're right. Yeah, that was a key part of it. And they just start eating everybody. So I think he manages to get away. Who saves him? Was it Spider-Man then?
Yep.
Yeah, Spider-Man comes in and swoops him up. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's Spider-Man, and it's
also. I was gonna say also Doctor Strange's cloak.
Yeah. So, which ironically, it attaches itself to Peter, and they're like later on they even say like, "Oh, it's a good look," like it's hanging on him in his Spidey suit, which is kind of funny because here in a few months we're gonna get Spider-Man and Doctor Strange in Spidey's movie. So
Wasp too. Remember, Wasp comes through the portal and. I can't remember. She cuts off Stark's head, I think.
Yeah,
like an ant, one of her giant ants or wasp. Picks it up.
Oh yeah, you see one of them summons the ants, and they just like take all the flesh off the whatever rotting flesh there is left, like off their bones.
Yeah. It gets gruesome. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that I noticed here too, like you reminded me when you said it took his head. In the comics, that wouldn't have killed him. They'll live until they're like atomized. Where here it's kind of a little more traditional zombie rules. If you take the head off or you shoot them in the head, they kind of die. So, but they do retain their powers because that's how the Avengers get infected. Remember, they tell the story about how the Avengers showed up to a mission and Cap is the first one because it was Scott Lang is infected and he's teeny tiny and he bites his neck.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like it looks like Cap's trying to swat a mosquito, and then all of a sudden he's infected with the disease. So yeah, so we got a lot of cool shit in here. Like, one of you guys take it over, or not?
Yeah. So,
what happens when Eric doesn't write the plan?
exactly. So I think at this point, when this is where Spider-Man takes Banner off, and then you see this sort of montage of, also like good zombie movies, they sort of lay out the rules of here's how you're going to survive the apocalypse. And it's like they've shot this sort of homemade video, right? Like,
yeah, it's like
how to survive.
Yeah, Spider-Man's doing like a homemade sort of comedic video of how to survive the apocalypse.
Yeah, it's Spider-Man's version.
Oh, it's Peter Parker, really.
Yeah, it's Peter Parker's version of the Zombieland rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all like a little YouTube video.
Yeah. So they go through there and they realize that they've got to go to Camp Lee in New Jersey. That's the MacGuffin, right? They need to get there for some reason.
There was some signal there that was advertising the cure or something.
Yeah, that was going to be the cure. Yeah.
So they need to go get on this. They get this train moving. In order to do it, Spider-Man kind of has to pull it. They need to work together. One of the so also in this episode is Bucky as Winter Soldier, and then when they get to Grand Central, they're attacked by most of the Avengers, including Falcon, Cap, a couple others, and then Sharon Carter's there. Hawkeye's. The rest of the Avengers are zombies. Once the train gets moving, Cap bites Sharon. Bucky manages to take care of Cap.
But I want to talk about that scene because it is one of the cooler scenes in this episode. Because he does the whole like Cap throws a shield at him, and he does the whole Bucky catches the shield, right? And then he throws it back at Cap and cuts him in half.
Yeah.
And the whole lower torso or the whole lower body of Cap just kind of like slithers to the ground.
Yeah.
Cap's just hanging on there for a second, then like falls off the train.
It's funny because they still have they seem to have powers, right? Like Sam as Falcon can fly, but he's not quite as good. Cap still strong, but not as good.
Yeah.
Right. Manages to get cut in half by shield. When Sharon turns to a zombie, Janet as Wasp sort of flies into her mouth and then becomes big. And when she comes out of that, she's like, "Oh, I'm covered in Sharon."
Yeah.
But she ends up getting.
The way I wanted to see that happen.
Yeah, she ends up getting nicked. She ends up getting her skin cut, and so she's ultimately going to become a zombie. So anyway, on the train out there, they get out to Camp Lee. They find Vision, who ultimately ends up telling them that he's been keeping Scarlet Witch there. She's like a super powerful zombie, and he's been essentially feeding her people to keep her alive.
Which is it's a key element, like how they call back to the comic a lot, right? Even in the movies. In the comic, it was Hank Pym, and I think he was still keeping Black Panther, but because here Vision is keeping Black Panther, and he's fed like Black Panther's leg to Rich, right? Yeah. Same thing in the comics, same leg and everything. But instead of feeding it to somebody, Hank Pym's just been eating bits of Black Panther to keep his sanity so he can work on whatever. And then Black Panther escapes. But yeah. So another callback to the comics.
Yeah. So we end up at a point where we see her. There's a big fight. They run for the last Quinjet to head out of there. Vision realizes he's done this horrible thing by killing, throwing people to her to eat them, but he couldn't like watch her die or kill her himself. So he ends up giving up the Mind Stone to.
Yeah, he rips his own stone out.
Yeah.
So again,
it can be part of the
right?
solution. Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be part of the cure. And now we've got the reason they know they're pretty sure it's going to work is because they were able to cure at least Ant-Man's head. And his head
the Mind Stone was keeping them at bay.
Yeah, his head is in a glass jar, like it's like a Simpsons episode.
It is.
And so then
he's telling dad jokes.
Yeah, right. And so ultimately, I think it's Black Panther, Peter Parker, and the head of Ant-Man make it to the jet. Bucky holds off Scarlet Witch in order for them to get out. And then Banner finally turns back into the Hulk to take on a bunch of the zombies and Scarlet Witch. And then you assume that Bucky is left for dead. You assume that Banner is left for dead and that they've sacrificed themselves so the others can get away. And all you see at the end is they sort of fly off, Peter, Black Panther, and the head of Ant-Man holding the Mind Stone.
It's hopeless Peter, Black Panther missing a leg.
Yeah, and the head of Ant-Man.
And the head of Ant-Man.
Not Lang's head.
Being cuddled by Doctor Strange's cloak.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty gruesome. Even though there's some funny parts to it, like, and then there's some thing about
they're gonna go to Wakanda.
The Watcher says something about hope, right? Because they're gonna go to Wakanda and try to manufacture this cure.
But and getting ready to land, it pans over to Wakanda, and there's a zombified Thanos with the Infinity
Gauntlet.
Just waiting for him.
Yeah,
just waiting, like, you're bringing me the last piece, right? So so there's no hope whatsoever. I will say one thing about this episode. Just like, we thought like WandaVision was cool, seeing like Wanda kind of like really become the Scarlet Witch. A zombified Scarlet Witch is scary as fuck. Like, she is totally unhinged and just tearing motherfuckers apart. She was awesome in this episode.
Yeah.
But so I thought it was a really cool take on the whole zombies thing. I didn't know how they were going to do it because I read all of it, all the multiple Marvel Zombies sequels and everything, and it was cool the way they did it, and they kind of tied it back to itself. It was a really cool story. So if you haven't read it, to you two guys and to anybody listening, go search them out. They're really good. There's multiple ones out there. But the way they did it here, I was curious how they were going to work it into this, if they were going to be like, because it's even a little bit too kind of fantastical for what they're trying to do. And they toned it down just enough to make it work. And it works. It works really, really well in this series.
You know what I think really helped it a lot? Just this particular episode. The way that they set it up with like half heroes, right? There was a couple heroes in the group of heroes, but then it was like Sharon Carter and Bucky and Okoye, and it was like the Wasp.
And that one random
like sidekicks.
Dude.
And then the cape. The cape was probably the best part of the whole, or the cloak, whatever. Probably the best part of the whole thing. It's like his own little character. It's like, fuck it, my master's a zombie, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Time to find a new one.
I also liked how they did, and you get Peter Parker, right? And so John said a minute ago, you're going to get comedy, but at one point when Okoye says, let's go split up, and I think it was Peter or it was Ant-Man's head or something. I was like, have you never seen a horror movie?
Yeah.
Like, we don't split up. She's like, no, we don't have horror movie. We have American reality shows.
Yeah. No, the writing is definitely on point in this series. It's really good. So it was a really good episode. I would love to see them do more zombie shit just because I love zombies, but who knows? Maybe they'll animate the zombies for like a Marvel movie or something. That'd be cool.
Day late and a dollar short, but I forgot what we did last time was what do you have to watch to actually get this? Now, I don't know that it actually matters for this episode because it's kind of but this would be another one. I think we had one like this last week where you pretty much need to watch everything Avengers related. Right. And then probably also Spider-Man Homecoming and Black Panther and I'm not sure what else.
You have to watch Ant-Man and Wasp because it mentions the quantum.
Yeah,
the quantum zone.
yeah. The whole virus originates from the quantum realm.
Yeah,
yeah. And then for Doctor Strange, actually, you only have to see the first Doctor Strange movie. You don't need to watch anything else to get pretty much everything in that one. And then what's the next one? Oh, Killmonger rescued. What if Killmonger rescued Tony Stark? This was probably my least favorite so far, actually. And I say that, I don't know why I feel that way necessarily, but I feel like they twisted Tony Stark up like way more than I could kind of believe. I mean, they took him from sort of the sacrificing, spoiler alert, sacrificing his life, greatest, you know what I mean, hero of the Avengers, into like this greedy, murderous dude who's just like, yeah, fuck it. And it's all because a soldier saved him. Like, well, I mean, there's more to it, but
it takes away, like, the entire premise on which he becomes a hero is gone, right? So he never gets captured. He never gets the shard in his chest. He never has to build the arc reactor. He never has to go through all that stuff. So it doesn't change it, right? He just stays the same sort of D-bag he is.
That's where I take an issue with it, is that he was a D-bag before, but they pretty much turn him into like a villain. I mean, a bad villain in this, right? Like, he's ready to kill people over his greed and power. It's like, I don't think that is really him, but okay. I guess it's a what if, so whatever. But this one just was my least favorite so far. This is not to say that it's bad. I just had a hard time with the evolution of the what if here. Like, okay.
Right. And so Killmonger, when Killmonger saves him, you go back and then it becomes the press conference at his return from Afghanistan is now, instead of, hey, I'm Iron Man, this is the guy who saved me, Lieutenant Eric Smith, and he's going to be now head of security. Oh, and he drops the bombshell that he was there not with his unit because he had infiltrated the 10 Rings and realized that Obadiah was the one that put the hit out on Tony. So we take out Obadiah. Killmonger becomes the COO of Stark Industries, sort of pushing out Rhodes.
So essentially the entire Iron Man movie doesn't really happen.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and on that note, the only thing you have to watch for this is the very first Iron Man, the origin story, right? And then I guess if you want to understand, Killmonger, you have to watch Black Panther.
Because it goes into his
Black Panther, because there are some beats that hit on Black Panther within this episode.
Yeah, because it talks about his dad, Killmonger's dad, who's the king's brother and all that stuff. Yeah.
And he kind of does do a similar thing where, so like you said, he's a COO, and then they start to build, they still kind of build tech, which is kind of more like the Iron Man 2 when Hammer came in and I guess reverse engineered War Machine and made all those tech suits that Iron Man and Rhodey eventually fight, right? Because they look similar to those. So they make a whole bunch of suits out of some vibranium and whatever else. And Killmonger kind of like, what does he do? So he goes after the vibranium and kills Black Panther, T'Challa, right?
And then
kills Rhodes.
Makes it look like they killed each other.
Yeah, tells Tony that they killed each other, and then Tony tells him, "No." He's like I'm not stupid. I've been watching, and he realizes that Tony knows. So then he goes after Tony, right? Kills him, right?
Yep.
Yeah, kills him there, and then takes the army of androids to Wakanda, and makes it look like he's coming in, because he goes and he finds Claw too, and he kills him just like he does in the Black Panther movie. brings him to Wakanda as a gift, like he does in the movie, and then tells him, Stark is sending his army here or whatever.
His drones.
Yeah, his drones, but he's got another remote with him to shut him down. So he does this whole thing with basically like trying to get them to drop the shields to let the army in, but then or he says if you let him in and then they get inside, he can't control them anymore. The military can't control them. That's what it was. The military's coming here, so they get the drones in, and then they shut down, like he said. But then he's got that secondary remote, and he activates them, making it look like there's an override or something. And he goes in with the Wakandan army to fight them, even though he restarted them, because he's trying to make himself look like, he's loyal to Wakanda. Mm-hmm. And there's a really cool fight scene there. Like, they do a lot of cool shit there. And I forget how it ends.
It ends, I think, because he gets he obviously they beat the drones. He's a hero, and because T'Challa's dead, he becomes Black Panther. He goes to the
T'Chaka makes him the Black Panther. Yep.
Yeah. And then it ends with Shuri going to see Pepper.
Right.
Right, and says, and she has the picture of Killmonger doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, how did you get this? And she's like, well, Tony's a genius. He made it so that we could have this. She's like, but he's not the only genius. And so they're going to work together
to take down Killmonger.
Yeah, and that's sort of where it ends.
Yeah. So again, another really cool episode. I mean, not the best one, especially following the last two we just talked about. But not a bad one either. I mean, it was interesting. Not everyone can be great.
Yeah, it's only sort of graded on a curve of the other ones being amazing. That this one is not quite.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I agree. Because I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the way I guess they kind of like they follow the what if formula that I'm used to growing up with, of that one little tweak and then kind of go here, and you can see the similarities and the differences at the same time. It's a lot of fun to watch. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a couple things in this one that I think were intentional, and I didn't realize, this is dealing with Chadwick Boseman specifically, but I didn't kind of realize it till beforehand. But he, of course, we see him in this episode in a casket, and then he appears to Eric as a spirit in the spirit realm to talk to him, which is, and I didn't necessarily pick up on it before, but the zombie episode also had him do like a speech thing where he talks about remembering the dead and keeping people in your hearts and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how many more of these little things are going to be inserted in the next few episodes. And I don't know which of the next few he's in, if any, but it's almost like they're doing a little subtle tribute as they're going through.
Yeah. And you got to wonder how much of that was on purpose, because, like obviously none of us knew what was going on with him, but you knew, like, at least Kevin Feige knew. So maybe like he might have had a hand in writing or getting the writers to put some of the shit in as a tribute.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. Maybe it's just coincidence, but it doesn't feel that way.
No. And nothing with Marvel ever feels like coincidence, because Kevin Feige is just like, he's our Lord and Savior. He's a genius. So
Marvel Jesus.
Yeah. So I would say he probably had the writers write some shit up for Chadwick Boseman to say that would really hit home with people, because it is knowing that like this is some of the last shit he did that you're going to see or hear, at least. Yeah, it hits home a little bit. So yeah, it was cool. All right, so next one we're gonna do is gonna be well, next week probably just do a Geekly Weekly. I'm gonna see if I can watch Shang-Chi.
Hey, no spoilers or anything, but it was much better than I could have imagined.
All right,
Really?
cool.
It was a good Marvel action movie meets decent sort of like Japanese samurai movie or something, with a little bit of like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon sprinkled in there because of the magic combined with the martial arts. There's some crazy fight scenes. It's like,
all right. Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it. It's just my schedule has been completely screwed with football and working around the house. Because like I told you guys when we planned on trying to see it, my whole family wants to see it. So I've got to try to find a day where all of us can go to the theater, and it just hasn't been happening. So hopefully, people, we will actually get a review out to you. If we haven't seen it by next week, it might just be Eric doing a review. Or at that point, I'll just I'll let him ruin it for me, and I'll watch it anyway.
I thought for some reason I was like the last one, and you guys had both seen it already. That's why I went ahead and went this weekend.
Because usually, whenever Paul and I try to plan something, you're the last one to do it. But no, not this time. You're the first one in the gate. So yeah, we'll try to get this review out to you guys. It's gonna be too little, too late, but you guys seem to enjoy the reviews anyway, so whatever. We're gonna do it. Yeah, we got that coming. I think next week we'll definitely knock out a Geekly Weekly because there's a lot of shit going on. And Thursday is Venom.
Yeah, Venom? Another one we have to go to the theaters for. By the way, during the Shang-Chi opening credits, they play like a Venom sort of cinematic trailer, like a longer one. Mm-hmm. Holy shit. It looks fucking awesome.
That's cool.
Oh, well, the reviews are good so far from the people that have seen it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one too. So I got a lot of catching up to do. Yeah, we're ramping up. I mean, we got these two, we got Ghostbusters, Spider-Man. We got a lot of shit coming out. So we're gonna have to get back into reality, I guess. All right. So anybody got any alibis? Nope. Good. All right. Well, in that case, you guys know what to do for all three of you that are listening. Like, subscribe, tell somebody about us. Let them know we're out here. Hit us up at whatifgeeks.com, whatifgeeks@gmail.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that happy shit. And tell us you're out there and let us know what else you want to hear. We'll have some fun with some of these episodes. Get into the holidays, people. Halloween's coming. Let's do some horror shit. All right. Good night, Tony.
Good night, basically everybody.
Damn.
Damn, yeah, you just took them all from me. That's
right.
So fun.
I'm
gonna say good night to Tony Stark forever tonight, and the reason is he has appeared in 3 of the 6 episodes so far, and he's fucking died in every single one of them.
All right. Good night, Tony Stark forever.
Right.